excited. They haven't come yet, but I got a pair of overalls and I got a pair of jorts that have a 1-inch inseam.
Nice. That's quite the mixture of random bullshit.
Yeah.
What I hope you plan on doing is like merging them, like doing the overalls top and then sewing them to the 1-inch inseam.
See, one of the things I do plan on doing with the overalls is I also got a pair of suspenders. So I plan on wearing the overalls, but not using the straps, but using suspenders to keep them up.
That's fashion.
So I think that's a move.
You're a visionary, Twaroski.
I'm a trendsetter.
You know who else is a visionary trendsetter? It's all of us for starting the Bro Football Focus podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, you like
What
how
a transition.
what that was?
Every time I'm on here, I feel like I get blindsided.
That's the point. But welcome to episode 29, the LeGarrette Blount episode. Back in action after a 2-week hiatus. I know we told all of our wonderful listeners that we were going to have a special episode. Didn't happen. What happened was Austin and I went out to Colorado to visit Jake, and we weren't really in the right headspace to record anything.
No,
But what?
some of us weren't.
I mean, I don't think any of us were, but like Casey definitely wasn't. But yeah. But so we're here for a regular episode 29. Thanks for coming along on this journey with us. I'm Hunter. With me as always, except for that one time, is Jake.
Well, now that 2-3 times.
No, that was everybody was missing.
Okay. So you're
It's
going to
different.
say, and me, Hunter, who still hasn't missed.
So you're
Yeah, I
fudging the
haven't.
stats because they apply to you.
Yeah. And Austin, who has also been here every episode except for one.
Howdy, y'all.
And a fan favorite all the way back from season 1 of Bro Football Focus.
OG.
Am I a fan favorite? I feel like
Yeah.
that can't be true.
Anthony.
The
course.
fashion always.
What's up, dog?
Oh, dog.
Your episode did the most numbers, I do think. Of all.
Did it?
Bulls-
That can't be true. Bulls had to have done better.
Bulls did pretty good, but I think most of the views were just him repeatedly watching.
I probably watched the Bull episode 2 or 3 times.
But
It's good to be back.
it's good to have you back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back.
And it's good to have Echo back.
Yeah. It's good that he got out from under the bed. But we've had a few changes since you've last been on the show. So since you were last here, I believe it was the off season.
Possibly.
We did a segment called the Hot 32.
I see that it's now the Spicy 16.
Yeah, so we've changed it to the Spicy 16 to talk about every game that happens rather than every team takes less
I dig it.
time. And yeah. So, Austin, without further ado, if you want to get into the Spicy Spice.
Alrighty. The Houston Texans continued to roll without Bill O'Brien as they stuffed Matt Patricia's turkey in a 41-25 win on Thanksgiving Day. Patricia was fired shortly after, and the Lions named offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell as the interim head coach. Ooh,
Having some audio issues over there, Jay.
Yeah.
Dick, we're having audio issues.
Can you not hear me?
Now
I can now.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
I think Echo was drinking water. It was a weird frequency.
I think maybe I had your
What?
Okay, we'll run that one back. The Washington football team against the Dallas Cowboys pick up a 41-16 win. The football team's ground game proved to be too much for the Cowboys as Antonio Gibson rushed for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns in the 41-16 victory.
Yeah. So it looks like I'm green here. The Los Angeles Chargers were at the old Ralph. Not the Ralph anymore, but it was the Ralph. The Bills defense looked to be back in form, or in the form that we saw last season in a 27-17 win over the Chargers. The Chargers, on the other hand, are a very talented team, but looked clueless at times. Is head coach Anthony Lynn to blame? The Bills won 27-17.
Could be. What the fuck? Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's hard to read in that purple.
No, tactical issues on my side. Derrick Henry had 178 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Titans run past the Colts 45-26.
The Burrowless Bengals couldn't get it done against the Giants as backup quarterback Brandon Allen fumbled the ball away on the final drive. The Giants win 19-17.
The Vikings pick up a home win against the Carolina Panthers 28-27. The Panthers offense looked troubled as the defense scored 14 of their 27 points as rookie safety Jeremy Chin scored 2 defensive touchdowns in a 10-second span. The Panthers had a shot to win the game, but kicker Joey Sly hooked a 54-yard field goal with 1 second left.
The Cleveland Browns took a trip down to sunny Jacksonville, Florida, where they played the Jaguars. The Browns remain in the playoff picture after squeaking out an ugly win against the Jags, but the Jacksonville Jaguars remain in the race for the number 1 overall pick. The Browns won 27-25.
That's good. In a tight matchup, Stephon Gilmore limited DeAndre Hopkins to 5 catches, 55 yards, and no touchdowns. New England kicker Nick Folk nailed the game-winning field goal to put them ahead as time expired, and that would be the Patriots beating the Cardinals 20-17.
The Raiders played in Atlanta, and the Dirty Birds took a young-ho poo on the Raiders' windshield, shocking the world by dominating the Vegas Raiders 43-6, doing so without Julio and without Todd Gurley's.
I think it's Young Way.
It is Young Way, but that's not as cool.
The Saint City slapped QB-less Broncos. All 3 quarterbacks were considered in contact with the COVIDs, which made them ineligible to play. So practice team wide receiver Kendall Hinton, currently working in sales, was told to suit up and learn the playbook in one night, which was condensed to about 30 plays, all to just complete 1 pass. Needless to say, Taysom Hill led the Saints to a massive victory.
What was the score?
Oh, 31-3.
Gotcha.
Close.
Yeah. In New York, the Miami Dolphins took on the Giants. With the Jags hot on their ass for the number 1 pick, the Jets made sure they lost the game with some clever Adam Gase play calling that included giving Frank Gore 21 touches of the rock.
Fantastic. In the game between the 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams, although it was filled with turnovers, Robbie Gould hit a game-winning field goal as time expired to give the homeless 49ers their 5th win, as well as completing the series sweep against the Rams for the 2nd straight season. Final score was 23-20 49ers.
Kansas City Chiefs took on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tyreek Hill looked unstoppable as he racked up 203 yards in the first quarter as the Chiefs jumped out to a 17-0 lead early on. Brady and the Bucs offense began to gel before our very eyes, and they began to orchestrate a comeback. The Chiefs held on in the end and won 27-24.
The Packers beat the not-so-great Bears in a 41-25 victory. The Bears had multiple fumbles and interceptions, having to rely on their running backs to put up some yards. Montgomery had a career-long 57-yard run, but the Packers looked dominant.
Twaroski, as an Eagles fan, I just want to let you know I didn't write this.
I probably would have wrote the same thing.
I didn't write it either.
It was me.
I probably would have wrote the same thing.
But, so Seattle took a trip to Philly, city of brotherly love. The Eagles are dookie farts, not able to take advantage of a lackluster Seattle defense. The Seahawks won, but didn't look like the powerhouse their offense has been looking like this season. Darnell Quavius Metcalf drops an easy touchdown pass to show he is, in fact, a human man. The Seahawks came out on top 23-17.
Not terrible, though. And then in the game between the Ravens and the Steelers, pushed all the way back to Wednesday. RG3 got an opportunity to start for the Ravens, earlier today, but was forced to exit due to a leg injury. Pittsburgh linebacker Bud Dupree tore his ACL late in the game. Former Penn State quarterback Trace McSorley threw his first touchdown, a 70-yard pass to Hollywood Brown, which kept the game close, but ultimately the Steelers won 19-14.
Yeah, Steelers are pretty good at playing down to their competition.
They've been doing that for a couple of decades.
Twaroski, as our honorable guest, which one of these games do you want to talk about?
Oh, man, putting me on the
While
spot
you do,
here.
I have to go grab some pussy.
Oh.
Okay. I swear I was just about to read my first one here, and I got 8 notifications on my computer. It was trying to force restart, and I'm like, no, not the time.
We got an update to install.
I was like, do it later, please. Let's see. What game do I want to talk about? The Washington Dallas game, kind of interesting. Also kind of want to talk about the Titans-Colts game. I think that's a good game to talk about. There's a lot of good games this week.
It sure was.
I think ultimately I'm going to choose the Cardinals and Patriots game because I think that's an interesting one.
Whoa, that cat has a shirt on.
It's cold up there in Pennsylvania.
It's cold as fuck.
He was eating a hole into his side, so I had to get something that he couldn't access his skin anymore.
Oh, is that the blind cat? Or no, that's your new cat?
No.
Oh, that's the blind cat? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I feel like it's staring through my soul.
Did he think his side was a delicious snack or something?
I don't know, but it's gross and it's hard to look at. It's very oozy. He doesn't like it.
Maggots?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Well,
So what game do you want to talk about?
So ultimately, there's a lot of good ones that I wanted to talk about, but ultimately, I completely forgot about the Raiders-Falcons game too. What the fuck was that? But I want to talk about the Cardinals and Patriots game because I don't know. I like the Cardinals a lot. I think they're the most fun team to watch this year, but both them and the Patriots, more so the Cardinals, show really good flashes where they look to be one of the best teams in the league, and then other weeks they just can't really put it all together. I mean, I'm sure that's got to be some compliments to the defenses they're playing, but
They're young.
they are young. They have a lot of young talent, but I still think they're very exciting to watch.
I don't know.
Kyler Murray's heart's on the diamond.
I don't know if the Patriots have had a game where I thought they looked like the best team in the league.
That's why I said more so the Cardinals.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like just the Cardinals with the one Seahawks game. Well, I mean, they had a few other good games. But, I think at this point, I don't know what's going to happen with the Patriots after this.
Yeah. The Patriots are also one of those up and down teams. Some weeks they look to be they might not be the best, but they look like they can compete on any given week. And then other weeks they look real bad.
Yeah, well, they even looked that way last season, too.
They're still in the hunt for the playoffs, I think.
Are they?
It's a hunt. I think they have to win out.
There's two extra. Well, there's at least one extra playoff spot, and I think if they delay another week because of COVID, then there's going to be an extra playoff spot. So
it's going to be
I didn't even know that.
the playoffs.
I feel like the extra spot is going to go to the Ravens or the Browns or then whoever is in
a lot of shit would have to happen for the Patriots to get in there.
Does Carolina have a decent record?
They're in the
wrong conference.
Well, I know, but I'm talking if there's an extra one from the AFC and an extra one from the NFC, I think Browns or Ravens, and then I would think
Carolina's been having a sneaky solid season. Their defense has been playing really good all year.
The whole NFC West has good records, I think.
Oh yeah,
the Niners
all
are
of
in
them.
Last place, and
they have five. Yeah, they have 5 wins, I think.
Yeah.
I also feel like their losses have mostly been pretty close.
The Patriots?
No, I'm talking. You mentioned the Panthers having a sneaky.
Oh yeah, they have a lot. Their bosses, most of them have been close, and they've been playing almost the whole season without their best player. So though Teddy Bridgewater's been playing really good this year too.
I mean, the Patriots have been playing without their best player too, but that was
Tom Brady.
So
That and Donta Hightower, a bunch of other people.
Yeah. They weren't they hit the hardest by COVID opt-outs.
Yeah.
So Jake, if you're Bill Belichick, what do you do? How do you turn the ship back in the right direction?
Drop everyone and then pick up all young cats. Start over.
Drop everyone. I feel like all you have to do is drop some of those slow cerebral wide receivers and
Yeah,
get a
no,
good wide receiver.
we need a game changer wide receiver or a game changer running back with a pretty darn good receiver. 'Cause you can't rely on Sony Michel or Rex Burkhead to.
Rex Burkhead's dead now.
Jake, you're forgetting about James White, and you're also forgetting that PFF named Damian Harris as the number 1 rated running back in the NFL.
But
That's from PFF.
what are they?
So this is BFF.
Yeah.
So you're giving me your BFF take?
Of course.
Jake's giving you a hot BFF injection right now.
Oh, okay.
There's no Alvin Kamara type on the Patriots.
True.
I mean, most teams don't have an Alvin Kamara type.
Yeah, I think the Saints.
But I get it.
Yeah,
Jake, don't
Saints
think
definitely have Kamara type. But there's just no game changers right now. There really isn't. There's no defining people that are like, this person's gonna tear us up. It just won't happen.
So Jake, do you think Cam Newton is on the team next year?
If he is, it's for very cheap.
Well, so you think Cam Newton's going to sign another 1-year, $1 million deal?
Not one. It'll be more than now, but it won't be like a legitimate contract.
I think if they sign him to more money, it would be more than a year.
But
I think they have cap space next year.
They do.
I really won't be surprised if he's not. I could see him as going to a different team.
I don't know. Cam Newton, I think, is one of the problems with the Patriots. Like, he looks sometimes he shows flashes of what he used to have, but he's really overall not looking fantastic again this year.
Like I've seen, I don't know what game this was. It was a few weeks ago, but like trying to scramble around the pocket, and he'll just do like lazy, like sloppy shit. And it's like, oh, I'll just try to dump it right, and it's just like, oh, you actually just fumbled that shit. Like you just threw a dumb interception.
Yeah, I think.
I think I was like, oh fuck, and it's like.
Well, another thing about the Patriots is
not as fast as he used to be.
Tom Brady left there because he felt like he didn't have enough weapons. And you look at their wide receivers, they're like number 1 guys, Damiere Byrd. Then they got they could have drafted Metcalf. They could have drafted all these other guys, A.J. Brown, all these guys.
Yeah.
And they drafted Hakeem, or what's his name, N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, and he's been hurt
not playing
ever
good.
since he got.
Yeah.
He's barely played.
They got no tight ends. And then you look at they're playing the Cardinals, who have Hopkins, like all these like fast studs. Larry Fitzgerald's like their 4th string wide receiver.
And Kyler Murray is better than Cam.
Yeah, I mean, that's undoubted. Kyler Murray is playing really well this year.
But they have the defensive players like Stephon Gilmore locked down DeAndre Hopkins. Well, didn't lock him down completely, but took him out of the game enough that he didn't dominate.
Yeah.
Then they got J.C. Jackson, who I think is leading the league in interceptions. Are pretty close.
Yeah.
And
They
the
just got
defense is gonna be
studs.
better next year.
Yeah.
I think the Tom Brady situation hurt him more than just the fact that he left, because obviously they'd probably be doing better if he was still there. But since it was like kind of drawn out for quite a bit and they didn't know for so long, like they didn't have a whole lot of great options other than Cam. Like if they could have landed like Teddy, I think their season could be going very differently, because he went to the Panthers and he's been playing well. And even without, I mean, they have some weapons, but they don't have a lot of weapons either. But their defense is pretty solid, and they're sneakily doing pretty well this year.
Yeah.
I think even though they're not a great team, nobody really wants to play them.
Yeah, any week if they have a good week, like they can go toe to toe with pretty much anybody.
You talking the Patriots?
Patriots,
Well, yeah.
Panthers.
I feel like at the end of the day, with the Patriots at least, if Bill Belichick's there, nobody's going to want to play him.
Yeah, he's gonna have a good game plan for every game, no matter who it is.
Who is pieces to
It's
the puzzle.
it's just up to whether or not his players are actually going to execute.
I can't wait for Bill Belichick to just be a brain in a jar hooked up to a computer.
The new Watson. But, Jake, what game do you want to talk about?
Say Jake.
I did say Jake.
I just want to know, because we just spent a good time on that one. I just want to know, Anthony, just where's your mind at being an Eagles fan? Because
in the gutter.
what do you?
I thought they were dog shit the whole year. They have not looked good at all the whole year. There was a brief moment where I was hopeful because for a solid few weeks, their whole fucking team was hurt. Like the only starter on their offense was, other than like two of their linemen, I think, that was healthy was Carson Wentz. Everyone else was hurt.
Yeah.
But now more and more people are coming back, and they still look real bad. I really like Miles Sanders. I'll say that, but I don't know. Carson Wentz has looked really off this year.
Do you
I
like
don't know.
Darius Slay?
Well, I was talking more offensively, but Darius Slay, like their secondary is still bad to the point, like especially going into the Steelers game, people were like, "Oh, well, your defense, whatever." And I was like, I mean, yeah, like Juju might not do a lot, but that's not the problem. You got to cover more than one guy, and Juju did nothing, not nothing, but he did barely anything. But you can only cover one dude if you're Darius Slay, so Chase Claypool scored 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. Are you a proponent of Jalen Hurts getting more playing time?
I don't know, because like Carson Wentz is definitely having a real bad season. I don't think it's all his fault, but with every passing week, he's definitely looking not great. I wouldn't be opposed to like seeing it here and there if it's not a close game.
What would you say if I told you that since 2019, Carson Wentz has committed the most turnover-worthy plays in the NFL by a pretty significant margin?
I'd believe you. I've watched the Eagles a lot.
Well, yeah, I know you believe it, but do you think that lends to more Jalen time and not like?
I
just don't think you can do what they're doing, where they like toss him in to be cute, like.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think he can use him as like a gadget player. I think if you're gonna see what you actually have in him, you need to like say this series is Jalen Hurts. Take Carson Wentz off the field. Don't run any fuckery. Just run the offense with Jalen Hurts and see what happens.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about Doug Peterson? Do you believe in him?
I believe in Doug Peterson. I mean, he came in and turned a shit show into a Super Bowl winning team between him and Howie within like 2 or 3 years. So I definitely don't think that he's the issue.
You don't think that was just Big Wiener Nick?
No, not at all. Like the Eagles were probably the best team in the league before Carson Wentz got hurt. Carson Wentz was like the favorite to win MVP, and then he got hurt, and Nick Foles looked like shit in the regular season and then popped off in the playoffs. And also, you have to remember, that was when the Eagles defense was like the number 1 defense in the league.
They were some dogs. The D-line
didn't look like it in the Super Bowl, but in the other games in the playoffs, they fucked people up.
Don't they still have all the same dogs, though?
No. Oh, they lost a lot of dogs. Their front 4 is still schnasty, but
yeah, Derek Barnett was doing stuff.
Their front 4 is real schnasty, but their secondary's been in a bad place for a while. It was just on their Super Bowl run. Their secondary wasn't in a great place, but their front 7 was so nasty they could rush 4 and get serious pressure and just drop everybody else into coverage.
Is Jalen Mills a starter?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah. He's got like green hair. I don't like that.
Yeah, he's wild.
But yeah, that sucks. Sorry your team's shit in the bed, but at least they won the Super Bowl. That's cool.
I mean, you're right there with me, Hunter, and Jake to some extent too. I think the only one in this lobby
I was in no way saying that my team was doing good.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, I think the only person in here that's having a successful season is the Bills.
Well, Austin feels all right. He knows they're going to lose round 1 of the playoffs.
Oh, come on.
Round 1? You think they're getting bounced round 1?
Not round 1.
I mean, that's just what happens with the Bills.
I mean, I guess it depends on who they get matched with.
I watched them get bounced round 1 last year.
You did. That was a rough game. Although I did like the play towards the end where Josh Allen tried to put the team on his back and like tried to lateral it mid-run. That was wild.
See, I'm hoping there's less of that this year. I'm hoping the team matured and learned from their loss last year. And I think we'll go deeper in the playoffs this year.
He's having a good year though.
I think the Bills may be the Steelers' only regular season loss.
I mean, they could be. I think the Steelers are going to lose before the end of the year. I think there's 2 or 3 games where they could easily lose, but
I think on paper, I'd say the Colts could beat them, but I just don't think when the time comes around that they'll have the sauce.
Fellas, we'll
But
get
we'll get there.
later.
We'll
But
get
big,
there.
big Philly style will not beat the Steelers. I'm going to put that out there right now.
I mean, they
Austin.
got smoked.
What game do you want to talk about?
Oh man, there's a couple of these bad boys. I guess.
I just found this.
Nice. The good Lord is with us, watching over us.
Right there.
Oh, thank God.
I guess I'll start. I'll do the Ravens Steelers game since I just watched it earlier today, and it was a pretty.
I thought we were going to do that one last for a smooth transition.
I mean, do you want to?
You
Transition.
don't have to. It doesn't-
Austin, if you don't want, if that's what's happening, pick the fucking Raiders game. What the fuck was that? What the fuck?
I played Derek Carr in fantasy because Kay Adams told me to.
Kay
Did she?
Adams is, she's just a face. She's not a mind. You want to follow Mina Kimes.
Don't get Chris Collinsworth now.
All right, so the Raiders Steelers game,
Raiders.
or the Ravens Steelers game.
So that is what we're doing?
Yeah, unless you
Okay.
want not.
Dude, fuck a transition.
We'll find a good transition.
Yeah. You gotta act on your feet.
I mean, what's a hard transition?
Yeah, who gives a care?
Just rip it, Austin.
Yeah. Just let her run. Let her run.
Just let it rip.
RG3, he's only started 3 games since 2017, and they've all been against the Steelers. So if there was any guy to do it, it was him, but he didn't get the job done. I saw him. He was like just running, scrambling out to the right, and then all of a sudden he's just like, oh fuck! And I think he just like kind of had a non-contact knee injury.
Those are the worst.
But that game was it was not fun to watch. Like the whole first 3 quarters, I'd say. Like Big Ben was dropping dimes. People are dropping balls left and right. Like Eric Ebron had a couple. There was one play where the Ravens are on the 1-yard line right before the half, and they have no timeouts, and the time is going. And I have fucking Gus Edwards in fantasy, and they hand it off to him. He's going right up the middle. He's about to score, and he just gets stuffed. And then all the Ravens hosses, or all the Steelers hosses, lay on the Ravens and prevent them from getting up. And the time just keeps running, and the refs are like just turning a blind eye.
Well, you got to throw a flag. It's defensive delay of game.
The refs
I've seen it
didn't
called
care.
before. I've seen it called before.
It was just natural. Hosses couldn't get up fast enough for 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Time ran off. It was just a real
Quick poll question for all you guys. Have you ever been watching a Pittsburgh Steelers game with a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and seen an accurate penalty called on the Steelers? Because it seems like anytime I've ever watched a game with a Steelers fan, there has never been an accurate penalty called.
yeah, it's usually it's a real Yinzer bias, I've noticed.
Oh.
Well, see, also, I think it's like good and bad Photoshop. You only know when it's the bad, because if it's a legitimate penalty, like it just gets brushed over really quick. But if it's even slightly debatable, they'll let you know. They'll fucking let you know.
I don't like watching football with my brother if it's a Steelers game.
Yeah, they're a fun breed.
I like watching football with him when it's not a Steelers game.
Yeah. There's definitely a little bit of Steelers bias there with their fan base. And I've noticed with my dad that every penalty with the Bills is usually, a big fuck up by the refs, but
it's the refs, or it was in the script.
It was in the script.
It's in the script.
My dad's a big believer in the NFL.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I will say, if the Steelers play how they played today against the Bills will win.
Well, Jake, that's the thing about the Steelers is I think they play down to their opponents. It seems like their games are always pretty close, and they just.
I think they're really into like selling the story. Like they want the wins to be gritty. They don't want to be too uppity. No, like they're the working man's team.
I don't know about all that.
The Steelers.
When it comes to a division rivalry, particularly the Ravens Steelers, usually they're going as hard as like if it's a playoff game or Super Bowl.
But the Ravens are a good team to begin with. Like I'm talking about when the Steelers play the Jags and it's close, or the Steelers play
I was a little upset about how that went the other week. I had the Jags plus like 20.5, and they didn't cover.
Why would you do that?
Because the Jags play good against the Steelers every time they play. And then they had to cover 20.5 points.
And they didn't get it done.
But yeah, I didn't watch the game, so I don't have too much to say about it.
I won't pick one because I want to smoothly transition into this.
Cool.
So our research team did some investigating, looking into the past. And the Steelers are now 11-0, yes. But how 11 is that 11? Is it a full, like, hefty, thick 11? Or is it a thick, tiny one that isn't well earned? So they beat Daniel Jones. They barely beat the Broncos. They beat Bill O'Brien and the Texans. They beat Carson Wentz. They beat an overrated Browns team. They were bailed out by the refs versus the Titans. They barely beat the Ravens. They barely beat the 3-8 Cowboys. They beat the 2-win Bengals and 1 tie. They beat Jake Futon and the Jaguars. And now today, they barely beat the Ravens practice squad and their third-string QB. So what do we think? Are the Steelers, are they fakers?
I'd like to hop in right away and say yes and no.
Oh.
I think that, like, realistically, they're probably a pretty decent team. Could take down anyone, but their record, like, they don't have – I feel like the only maybe quality win they have the whole year is the first win against the Ravens. And other than that, it's a lot of nothing. And that's not necessarily their fault. Like, they're not the ones that schedule games. Oh. Everyone on their schedule sucks dick this year. But you really haven't seen them get challenged. And even when they're not challenged, they're struggling to take down teams. But also, like I said, yes and no, because although they're struggling to take down those bad teams, it's kind of been their MO for 20 years or so. They play to the level of their opponent, whether they're worse or better than them. I feel like they usually can go to toe-to-toe with the best teams in the league, but consistently almost lose to the worst teams. So, I don't know. It's kind of both ways on that for me.
Yeah, I think they're a really good team, but I think they're definitely the most overrated 11-0 team that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I agree.
But then again, like they play all these games are pretty close, but you can tell that they're obviously a good team. Like TJ Watt is, I think, the best defensive player in the league right now. The way TJ Watt's playing. Earlier today, I saw him drop back into coverage and run down the field with Marquise Brown in some kind of coverage scheme. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like getting all these TFLs. He's getting all kinds of sacks. He's like a bona fide superstar. And then they have Joe Hayden's playing out of his mind. Minka Fitzpatrick's playing super good.
Yeah, but Bud Dupree tore his ACL.
That happened.
Freak.
I think you should play through it.
But
it wasn't that bad.
I was also going to say their wide receiver core is absolutely stacked, and Big Ben is actually playing good this year. So I think if anyone has like kind of the offensive firepower to hang with the Chiefs, if it came to like a playoff game, I feel like Big Ben could probably sling it out with He's got Claypool. He's got Washington, Juju. Like he's got 4 good receivers. And Eric Ebron's playing all right, but he's dropped a couple big balls today.
They definitely have the line to run the ball as well.
Yeah, their line is pretty big, pretty strong.
But looking ahead at their schedule, I think the Bengals – well, never mind. Bengals definitely couldn't beat them.
If Joe Burrow was still slinging the rock,
that's what I was thinking.
they had a chance.
Obviously.
Brandon Allen. Well, they'll play down to him.
Brandon
Allen will have a chance.
That's a maybe because those are always close, but I don't think so. Colts, I'm going to say no. Bills, Steelers,
Really?
I think that's going to be a really, really good game. But I still think the Steelers probably win.
I think the Bills Steelers and the Colts Steelers game are going to be really good games. I think the Colts are definitely one to look out for. The Colts defense is really good.
I think you want to talk about a really good defense, Twaroski. I think the most interesting game on their schedule is the next game against the Washington football.
That also could be interesting, but I've watched a lot of NFC East football games this year, and although sometimes there's good football to be played, a lot of times there is not.
Oh,
and Washington just had a huge win this week, but it was against the worst defense in the league without Dak Prescott.
Listen, I am in no way looking at Washington's offense and thinking they'll do anything.
Their defense is pretty good.
The Bama D-line, dude, it's good.
Roll Tide.
Now, here's my prediction. I think how the season's going to play out is that the Steelers very well could make it to the AFC Championship. Then they lose to the Chiefs, and it's an undefeated – they lost one game, but it was the one game that they really needed to win. And the Steelers are going to be too good.
Wouldn't that game be the Super Bowl?
Well, but you have to get there. Getting there.
It's like the old Dolphins team, but instead they don't even make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like the Patriots. Literally the exact story of the Patriots.
They're going to be good enough to make it and too good to blame a loss on COVID. So the Steelers fans are just going to get it just real bad because they're just going to be riding the undefeated, and then it's going to be, we're going to the Super Bowl undefeated. No, and then Patrick Mahomes is going to do them real dirty. And then
I'm going to give you 2 scenarios right now that have basically the same exact outcome. The Steelers do that. They don't make it to the Super Bowl. They lose in the AFC Championship game. All the fans, we got our games pushed back because of COVID. We didn't have a bye week, blah, 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 blah. If they go to the Super Bowl and they win the Super Bowl, equal but opposite. We won the Super Bowl. We didn't even have a bye week. Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
to COVID.
How many Super Bowls did they have? 8 or 9?
6.
6, yeah.
I thought they already had 6.
Yeah, they have 6.
Or would it be 7?
Okay.
I thought they had 7,
yes.
right? Or 6 right now.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the way that we will truly know if we're living in the darkest timeline is if the Steelers win the Super Bowl this year.
Undefeated Steelers Super Bowl.
If it undefeated Steelers wins the Super Bowl this year, we're in the darkest timeline, boys.
I just feel like the Chiefs just look like impeccable.
I would like to say, although the Steelers do not have like barely any, if any, quality wins so far, I still would consider them one of the better teams in the league. I don't think they're the best team in the league, but I would consider them one of the better teams.
Especially in the AFC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I will say, being the Chiefs, when you have Missouri to the east and Kansas to the west, there's not many people to give you COVID around there. So they have lucked out with their locale because it's like as things open, still no one's really going there.
What'd you say?
I said as things open?
No, but geographically, what'd you say? Break that down again.
To the east is Missouri and to the west is Kansas.
To the east of where?
What do you mean?
They're like really close to the state border.
Okay.
So they're on the west side, the west edge of Missouri. So all to the east is Missouri.
I just wanted to make sure you knew that they were in Missouri. But
I think
Yeah.
their stadium is actually dead center of the border. So it depends, like what end zone you're in,
Well, you want to know some exciting news, Twaroski?
I'd
Oh,
love to know some exciting news.
We're introducing a new segment this episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
So
excited.
let me give you a little info on this segment. So basically, we have a Bro Football focused Twitter group, and we send because Twitter's a great place for
Mhm.
quick NFL news updates and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we'll send that in there, talk about stuff, be like, oh yeah, that's a good thing to put on the show. One person who is a frequent member and talking head on this show does not look at it. Just will not participate for some reason.
I mean, I follow your guys' Twitter.
No, I'm not saying what we tweet. I'm just saying like there's a group message between Jake
Oh.
and we put stuff in there that we should talk about next week, and Jake just doesn't look at it for
Yeah.
some reason.
It
So
ends
is
up
that-
just being Hunter and I just exchanging information.
Is this the birthplace of this next segment?
Yeah,
Fact.
this is where Austin and Hunter's Twitterverse comes from.
I will
Okay.
say, Hunter and I've even been sending stuff to a group that includes just me, Hunter, and Huffy, because Huffy will at least give me a reaction.
so I never have had the notifications on Twitter. And
Yes, excuse. You can still open it, notice that you have.
But I don't ever-
Weak
I
ass excuse.
never use Twitter. I never use Twitter.
That's why you're so uninformed, just in life in general.
But why? I don't need to be informed.
It's the most
Well,
important social media platform, Jake.
Austin, if you're ever looking for a reaction, feel free to send it to the Rum Cow. I'll react to
Yeah,
it.
We'll get you in there. We'll
get you
bring you into the
react.
Huffy.
Every single one of these things, I'm gonna react so intense. You're gonna be, holy fuck, I'm glad Jake doesn't react to this shit.
I
we
feel
do
bad
long-
for that wall behind it. There's about to be 3 or 4 holes in it by the end of this segment.
So basically, how I think this is going to work is we just put a bunch of the stuff in here that Jake didn't respond to, and we're just going to talk about it real quick. So this first one's pretty funny. Looks like Sean Payton retweeted Roddy White saying the Saints are about to get whipped trying Taysom Hill at QB, and said, we about to maybe he's
Snack
trying to
them?
say, yeah, maybe he was trying
I
to
think it
say
was smack. But,
No, I think he's saying we're about to.
or eat up on him. It was
Smack
either
him.
he's going to like eat up on him or they're going to smack him. One of the two.
Well, either way, Roddy White was talking some shiz on the Saints, and Sean Payton retweeted that because they won.
Yeah,
Yeah,
reaction.
yeah.
Sean Payton's a fucking savage.
Okay,
That's
good
the
reaction.
reaction we were looking for.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you. Number 2, this one here is Saints tackle Teuron Armstead. This is, I believe, the same game. And
yeah, it was.
This one's real
basically-
football guy stuff.
the Falcons, they're coming in, they're acting like they're blitzing. He said, they ain't coming, Taysom. They ain't coming. And then he gets down, and they drop back into coverage. He was right.
I love that story a lot. I think that's super cool.
It's a
I
big
love I
hoss.
love seeing shit like that. I mean, he's a great lineman, so
The awareness should be 99 on
Yeah,
Madden.
it shows that Teuron Armstead is a cerebral hoss. You might not think so by looking at him, but he's definitely cerebral.
He might be
He also ran a
clairvoyant.
very fast 40 at the combine. Maybe
What,
a
Jake?
48.
That he might be clairvoyant.
Maybe. But next up, pretty interesting story. So Bradley Roby of the Texans and Will Fuller of the Texans, they are both out for the rest of the season for violating the league substance abuse policy. And I don't know if Bradley Roby did, but Will Fuller definitely did. He came out on Twitter and he was like, yo, guys, sorry, I was using the substance that, like, all my dudes told me was cool. Turns out it wasn't cool. This also just so happens to be after a game where he had 3 touchdowns and like 156 yards. But hey, digging a little deeper into this, you know who the Texans' assistant strength and conditioning coach is? It's Brian Cushing, the guy who used to stand on the side of the sideline and smash his helmet on it and make himself bleed and shit.
Brian Cushing was also suspended 10 games for PED use his final season, and everyone knows he's been on the roid since USC.
I feel like the only person that would make it even more sus is if their strength and conditioning coach was like Sean Merriman.
Maybe like Taylor Mays as well.
Literally just juiced out of his mind.
Or Laurent
Like-
Landry.
Dead lights out Merriman. Literally just used to put people on stretchers.
Who's
Yeah.
that
That's not
punter who
okay.
did that one time and then was immediately drug tested?
What was that?
Who's that punter who did that like one time, just jacked someone up and then was
Ah,
immediately
I don't
Pat
know.
drug
There's
tested?
McAfee?
been a lot of punters jacking people up. The one that comes to mind most often is Severio Rocca because he did it several times.
I feel like it was Matt Prater for some reason.
McAfee smacked a guy on a punt return and then got a bunch of PED tests.
Yeah, I think McAfee has said multiple times that he got PED tested after making plays like that.
I
You
know
what?
the
About Pat McAfee on this show?
that's just a fact, dude. That's what happened.
Not a fact because he has a different show, Austin.
He's
I
on
don't.
competition.
I don't even
Hunter's
listen
the
to
one
his
thinking
show.
about him. He's just setting me up for to mention him.
I don't even listen to his show. I like the guy though. I think he's funny.
Yeah.
Now, I will say on the sheer fact that Brian Cushing's neck is wider than his head, I think they should be testing everybody in contact with him for PEDs like it's fucking COVID because he has to be passing that shit out like it's candy. Like, there's no way he doesn't pop this shit like it's fucking sixlets.
A big conspiracy theory is so JJ Watt, like he walked on at Wisconsin, like he was delivering pizzas and then he walked on and like tried to play football and he ended up being real good. Went to the Texans, started working out with Brian Cushing. All of a sudden JJ Watt's jacked, is flipping 1,000-pound tires, fucking looking like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. A lot of people believe that maybe he's on steroids. And when you do the steroids, sometimes you're more prone for ligament injuries, like maybe his elbow, which he's got that permanent brace on.
What
So
if
he's getting snapped up.
You don't think that's
what, Jake?
so you don't think that's just from the years of like delivering pizza, like just holding that box and like when you fold the box, like your elbows don't get that range of motion.
Nate
That
Burke.
probably
Not
gave
from
him
the years of
kind of-
abuse from football. It's from the pizza deliveries.
Stretching the dough, like when you're stretching dough, like you're working your traps. So like
Oh, I get that. I get that.
I see what
Speaking of-
Jake's saying.
Speaking of doughy people, Austin, for everybody, don't you think it would be funny if like Loremi Tunsil came back like next season for off-season training? Like, yeah, cut to shit.
He's been working out with personal trainer Brian Cushing.
One thing I do want to say about this Brian Cushing thing is I have not seen Brian Cushing in years since he played in the NFL. I'm afraid of him now. Like, back then, I felt like at least like his face, something about it. I was like, all right, at least like I feel like this dude would kill me. Like I think this looks like a mugshot.
He has Hernandez eyes for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
also the fact that he has like craters in his cheeks because of how fucking prominent his jawline is.
It might have also been when he used to have the flow. Maybe that like kind of deterred some of the facial features. So like you saw the hair and you're like, all right, it's okay. But no, I feel like that dude would kill me if I saw him in an alley.
Oh, yeah. It's a good point you bring up there, Twaroski.
Yeah.
Love this next one.
This next one's more of a little piece of eye candy there for Hunter. So the Jags, they fired their GM, right, but not Doug Marrone.
So, quick story about this. I was sitting in the living room, just mind my own business, probably playing Xbox or something.
VRJ.
What's that supposed to mean, Jake? But see on my phone, get an update, and it says, breaking, Jaguars fired general manager Dave Caldwell. And I don't really, get exuberant about stuff too often, but I just, screamed. And Huffy runs down, and he's like, did you see what I see? I'm like,
That's
He's
even
very
better
happy
that
about
Huffy
it.
had
Very
the same reaction.
well, no, he didn't. He heard me scream, and he came down to make sure it was about that.
He checks Twitter real quick. He's okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. But no, I'm super happy about that because obviously there's a lot of problems in Jacksonville. I think Shad Khan is a big one because he's not necessarily a football guy and is more concerned with making money than putting a winning product on the field. But this is exciting because I feel like just the drafts have been bad. The signing decisions have been bad. So I think a new guy in there do some good.
So
It's
this
definitely a
tweet
cool
says
job to look at.
the Jaguars have 12 picks in the 2021 draft, including double firsts and double twos. They are projected to have over $100 million in cap space, and the roster has some intriguing young players.
Oh, it definitely has intriguing young players. That's
The
no
Jags
doubt
have
about that.
4 intriguing young players. And that's about it.
But this next tweet, and it kind of echoes something I've been saying on the podcast for a while now. Doug Marrone has been an NFL coach for 6 seasons, and his team has recorded at least 10 losses in 4 of them. So do you think they're going to fire Doug Marrone, or do you think they're going to get a new GM and stick with Doug Marrone?
No, without a doubt. I think the only reason they didn't fire Doug Marrone when they fired Dave Caldwell was because I think Jay Gruden would have stepped in. And let's say, Gardner Minshew comes back and they end up winning like 3 of their last games or whatever, 2 of their last games. I don't think they want any reason for them to be like, oh, well, Jay Gruden's just going to be the coach now. Like, I think they want to play out the season, and then when it's over, be like, hey, the coaching staff is relieved of their duties. We're cleaning house, getting someone new.
Including
from what I see, at least snap reaction to this, I think they'll probably get rid of Doug Marrone, but under the circumstances that they have like candidates that they actually want as their head coach. I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't like candidates they were super interested in if they ran another year with Doug Marrone.
I know, like, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, I think his name's Eric Bellamy or something.
Yeah.
He's a top candidate. The Robert Saleh from the 49ers is pretty good. So there's a couple good guys out there.
If we're talking head coach, I know it's a long shot, but I want Dabo and Trevor.
Dabo? You think he'd move up to the league?
I want to do it for Dabo, and then I want to tank for Trevor.
I don't think Doug Marrone's going to outshit Adam Gase. Because Adam Gase right now is coaching some premier shit football.
Adam Gase has been coaching premier shit football for his entire career. I've never seen a coach worse
Except
than
for that
Adam
one
Gase.
year with Peyton Manning, which is the highlight of his resume.
I've never seen a coach worse than Adam Gase in my entire time of watching football.
The Jets only need to win one, and I'm still very hopeful that it's doable. And with all these picks, well, okay, so this is perfect. I know we're kind of getting out of the Twitterverse here, but
I think
if we're talking
in the second gear, we got a lot of shit to hit.
Yeah, well, I'm putting something else in because if we're talking Jets number 1 pick here, right? I was kind of thinking, maybe let's say Jags have 2. They have all this capital. Maybe they move up. Who knows? But speaking of moving up, you guys ready for our second newest segment?
Moving on up?
No. I'm going to call it Hunter's Rumor Mill.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So, word on the street. Or I might call it Word on the Street. I like that more.
Word on the street. That's a good segment name. I like that.
Hunter's Puppy Mill.
No, those are bad. So, Pat, word on the street is if the Jets secure that number 1 pick and the Cowboys stay where they are at like the 4th pick, might franchise tag Dak Prescott, trade him the Jets for number 1 with their 4.
See, this is something Hunter
I think
told me
that's
this
a bad move for
earlier
everybody.
in the week. Yeah.
Listen, I didn't say it's not. This is
And
word on the street.
I don't even like Dak Prescott that much, but that just sounds like a bad idea for everybody.
Don't you think it tickles Adam Gase's balls just a little bit?
Oh, yeah, it sure would. I'm sure it tickles a lot of people's balls, but I don't think it's a good idea for any of them.
I feel like Adam Gase doesn't even give a fuck anymore. Like, you can pretty much pull off whatever with him.
How does he still have a job in the NFL? What the fuck?
I think the only reason he still has a job is because they want him to complete the tank. And they know he's the only guy.
True. He is really good at that.
However, if the Jets do really believe in him, that'll be so fucking crazy.
Also, I wouldn't be
cheating.
surprised. Like, there's always the chance that the Jets are like, yeah, we're dead set on Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence is like, well, I'm going to run it back for another year of college.
I don't think that would happen. I don't think there's any way Trevor Lawrence goes back to college a year.
I don't think it's likely, but it is a possibility.
I don't think there's any way. I think
He might just be like, yeah, I'm just going to go to HVAC school.
Hunter, what if the Jets were like, we just announced we're signing Adam Gase to a 10-year, $100 million contract?
If that happens,
And
I think
fired our
every,
GM. He has complete GM capability.
I think if that
Yeah, he
happened,
does.
every Jets fan would abandon ship.
I'm pretty sure Adam Gase is the Jets GM.
I think he might be actually.
He is. He's the Bill Belichick. But either way, I don't think Trevor goes back to school at all. You don't risk that injury. You don't risk that money.
Yeah, fair.
When he could just go, and he doesn't have to play for the Jets. He could just pull an Eli Manning or a John Elway.
Yeah, but they could also say, "Fuck you, we drafted you. You can't
And
go
he doesn't
anywhere
have to
else."
sign his contract, and he doesn't have to play. And then they
And
lost
then
the
he,
first-round draft.
yeah, they lost a first-round draft pick. But if he does that, then he also could have just stayed in college instead of going to the NFL because he's still not making money if he doesn't sign a contract.
But could someone else not sign him?
No, if they
The
draft
Jets
him,
would have the rights to him.
if they draft him and he doesn't sign the contract, there's not much that he can do.
The reason why it worked with Eli Manning is because in that trade, they traded a player, was it Drew Brees or somebody, or Phillip Rivers,
It
for
was
the
Phillip Rivers.
or the rights to sign him. Because when you draft him, you have the exclusive right.
Well, yeah, no. So, and if that happens, there's gonna be a team below that's gonna take your
The Cowboys.
your Trey Lances, your Zach, whatever his name is. So you're gonna have guys with QBs who
It's-
can make that trade happen.
It's definitely an interesting subject to talk about it, but realistically, like, I don't know that Trevor Lawrence has said anything. I haven't really paid attention to him.
Thank
So
you.
until Trevor Lawrence says something, you don't really know what's going on. Like Joe Burrow could have done the same thing with the Bengals, but Joe Burrow seemed to be all about going to the Bengals.
That's also like the hometown hero story and
Yeah.
all that.
But
jazz.
the Bengals is a lot worse like career place to go. Just like New York, like Le'Veon signed with New York
Oh, yeah.
because it like you get so much more media
Yeah,
like attention.
it's a big market for
You have
sure.
way more opportunity.
I do think if Trevor was drafted by the Jets, he would play for the Jets. He seems like a nice
He would
God-fearing
be
guy.
he'd be Jesus in New York, dude. They would love him there.
Yeah.
They would treat him like a king.
But back to the Twitterverse. Rodrigo Blankenship's surgery went well. Turned out he had a cancerous tumor, but that's all good.
Glad to hear that.
So
It's always
going
good to hear.
back to the Jags having that $100 million in cap room.
There's no good free agents next year.
They're spending all $100 million on
The free
Rodrigo.
I hope they don't spend any of it next year because there's no good free agents next year.
Well, this is the next tweet, Hunter. A lot of wide receivers playing in the last year of their contract
Jags don't need a wide receiver.
include Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, Juju, Corey Davis, Chris Samuel, and Will P.E.D. Fullers.
I would only be interested in one wide receiver on that list, and he would never come back.
I
Now-
mean, there's
Apart
some-
from Hunter, would you be interested in any of those guys, Twaroski, for the Eagles?
well, the thing about that is I don't even think the receivers are that bad. They've been hurt a lot. I like the receivers they have, and that's not even factoring in Godwin, who opted out for COVID. So, I mean, would I be interested? Yes. Do I think they'll go after someone like that? Probably not. I think that they'd be better off trying to secure some more defensive places, but I say that every year and they don't, so who knows. It definitely would help though.
They got Mims.
I'd also be surprised if a lot of these receivers on the list don't return where they are. Like
I think that's the
bef- what?
I think that's the point of the list.
Well, it's the last year of their contract, so they'll be free agents. But like, I think a lot of them are just going to re-sign with the teams they're already on.
Oh, I thought you were saying the opposite, that you don't think they'll re-sign.
No, I think a lot of the receivers will re-sign with the teams they're already on.
Allen Robinson for sure won't.
Yeah,
And
I think
hope
Allen
he
Robinson
goes-
will be gone. But other than Kenny Golladay might also decide to leave. I could see that. But other
think-
than that, I think a lot of them are going to return.
I think Juju won't be a Steeler.
Really?
Yeah, just because, like, I didn't initially think this because when I think Juju, for some reason, I just, like, he seems like a Steeler.
That's how I
And-
felt about fucking Antonio Brown, though.
I guess.
He had CTE.
But with Juju, like, and the thing about the Steelers is they can always just draft a guy like in the 4th round and he'll be like an all-pro. Like they have Claypool
Yeah.
now, who's great, Johnson, who's playing great. So you draft a guy next year and put Claypool where Juju is, and like he'll be
I
fine.
agree and disagree with that sentiment because I 100% agree that the Steelers, the wide receiver scouts, got to be out of their gourd because, like, what the fuck? They are just constantly bringing in incredible receivers. But I think having someone like Juju there definitely helps those receivers like bud into superstars. Like Juju was playing behind Antonio Brown for that. I don't know. It just like the process like seems to continue, and I could see him leaving, but I also think that he would return.
I only see him leaving because of the money. The Steelers hardly have.
Yeah,
any cap space.
yeah, the money could be a lot more lucrative somewhere else.
The Steelers
Got a
also have
little
a
bit of money
history
to
of
fix
not shelling out the big bucks for
Yeah.
like when Mike Wallace went off or Santonio Holmes.
Yeah, that's true. They do have confidence in their ability to get those receivers
Yeah.
in the
Emmanuel
draft.
Sanders.
So yeah, you're not wrong. I definitely could see it.
But I do see Juju as kind of being like a lifetime Steeler, just his personality. I'm
Yeah.
sure he would take a
He could be.
discount.
He could be for sure. And I thought realistically until like this year, I thought Corey Davis would probably be gone after this year because he's had some flashes but never really put it all together. But
Yeah.
this year he's putting together a really nice campaign. So I could definitely see them re-signing him.
Do you think they'll re-sign James Conner? Because I don't.
I don't know.
I don't think James Conner is all that good. Like
I think James Conner is a quality running back, but he is running behind
yeah.
one of the better offensive lines. And
So
I watched Benny Snell today. Benny Snell looked just as good.
I think James Conner is a very good like all around back, but he doesn't have anything that he does particularly like amazing.
I think
But
it's
he's
a
a
line
good-
thing with the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, they've shown it for years. Their play calling and stuff is they've had really mediocre running backs run behind that offensive line, and they do fairly well.
But looking at who they have to re-sign, there's really nobody super pressing except Juju, James Conner.
What about Bud Dupree? I
Bud
think
Dupree
he was
is one because I think they tagged him last year.
after that injury. They have some leverage now.
Yeah.
I mean, for James Conner, they could always even dive into the draft for a running back. Running backs are going later and later every year.
Very true.
Yeah.
And then the only other one really is Villanueva, but he's old, and I feel like he would take not high tackle money to finish as a Steeler. But I don't know how much money they have next year.
Yeah, me neither.
But I could find out.
Big Ben could potentially retire after this season. I don't think he will.
So.
But if he did, that would free up a lot of cap.
I think there's a decent chance if they rocked the Super Bowl. I think there's a decent chance he might retire.
If or if he took like a real heartbreaking loss in the playoffs. And
Yeah,
he's
that too.
like this.
Do you guys want to run it on to the next one?
We will, but I just want to say the Steelers will have $26 million next year.
You can squeak by. You're not going to be able to sign everybody.
Yeah.
You can sign like a Juju, or you can sign all the other guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that'll play out.
Yeah, once you say that, I think James Conner's probably looking like the odd man out unless Juju wants to take more money elsewhere.
Yeah.
Connor would be the last guy I'd sign because Benny Snell's looking good.
Yeah.
But this next one is a PFF tweet, and it says, which class of 2019 wide receiver would you choose to build an offense around? It's got A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, and Deebo Samuel.
I think the answer is semi-obvious here.
Yeah, I agree with the poll.
But I think it's more of just kind of like an eye-opener to the 2019 draft.
It was a very good one.
It was a sick-ass draft.
I feel like, I don't know, like this year's draft class, I think, had the most hype for wide receivers going into it. But there's always going to be those draft classes, like looking back, where you're like, damn, there was really a lot of good players in that class that didn't even have that kind of attention. I like all those wide receivers, but yeah, Metcalf is balling out.
Yeah, DK is insane. AJ Brown's really fucking good.
AJ Brown's been
I
balling.
think you have to get closer to your laptop.
McLaurin also been balling out on a not great offense. So I mean,
I think Terry's like he's leading the league in like yards after the catch or like rack or something.
he's nasty.
He's super good. I love Terry. He's kind of like a little like mini AB, like young AB.
I'll
Real
be
quick
honest, the
routes.
only one that I don't know too much about is Debo, but at the same time, I feel like he's been hurt a lot, so I might have
Yeah, I
just
was
not
gonna
seen a lot
say.
of games.
They've been using him kind of like he's more like an end around guy. Like I think he has more rushes than like most wide receivers. Like they're running him a lot. He's kind of like just a run after the catch guy. But he's real tough runner and he's a good blocker. But yeah, that was a real good receiver.
That's a good draft class for sure.
2019 had good receivers. So I'll go through this one quickly. I don't know the exact quote, but I think Chris Collinsworth was talking about how he was talking to some ladies and they knew about football, and that like really, really impressed him that some ladies knew about football. And he said that on national television, and everybody got upset because, of course, like, you know, girls can like football. They can understand.
No.
It's not chess or something. But so Chris Collinsworth had to he had to apologize. That was a Queen's Gambit joke.
I haven't watched the Queen's Gambit. I was just confused because I know there's like women grandmasters and stuff.
I haven't seen it, but that was clever.
I haven't seen it either, but
No,
I haven't seen it at all.
apparently everybody.
no, this is not a Queen's Gambit podcast. That's for sure.
No, it's not. But yeah, so Chris Collinsworth said that. He apologized though, so he's good.
If you listen to the actual quote, he said exactly what you were saying, but then he kind of realized halfway through, he's like, "Oh, this probably isn't gonna be all right." He like kind of quietly like meandered off. But it's funny he issued a statement.
Doesn't surprise me though.
So yeah, the statement's nothing crazy.
So
he just said he's sorry.
He's made this tweet or whatever.
He said it during the game today. He said, I had a chance to talk with some young ladies.
Apology. Did he say it unprompted?
No. He tweeted the apology.
Well, but I'm saying, like, was he getting out in front of it, or was somebody saying something? He's like, oh, shit, I should say something.
I mean, I'm sure there were people that were saying shit immediately, but
yeah.
he also didn't wait. He obviously didn't wait long because the game just happened, like, today. So
he definitely got it out as early as he could.
Okay.
To kind of.
Yeah.
But I do want to continue to say that we are a not pro Chris Collinsworth podcast.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
We're like 1/3 not pro Chris Collinsworth. But
Who's not pro Chris? Who is pro Chris Collinsworth?
I'm not anti Chris Collinsworth. I'll just say that.
I'll I might not be a staple on the podcast, but I'll go out there and say, I personally, this does not reflect the views of the Bro Football Podcast, but or Bro Football Focus. Sorry, but I am anti Chris Collinsworth.
Why?
Because I think he's a terrible commentator,
and he's a misogynistic piece of.
See, I decided to be anti Chris Collinsworth because I couldn't discern any voice from anyone at this point. But Austin, his dislike was so much more passionate than Hunter's like. I was like, well, I have to go with Austin, so I'm in. Like,
nah,
I will say, as much as I don't like Chris Collinsworth, I appreciate that he's still around because he's just a vintage football voice, and he gives me something to laugh at because he does make some stupid statements.
In my opinion, my three least favorite football announcers, in no particular order, are Chris Collinsworth, Joe Buck, and late stage John Madden.
Yeah, Joe Buck is definitely my least favorite, I think.
Late stage John Madden, unbearable to listen to.
I never really
understood a lot of heat, and I don't think any of it is warranted.
Wow.
To be fair, I think there's just not that many terrible commentators.
What about Troy Aikman? Troy Aikman sucks.
I like Joe Buck more than Troy Aikman.
Now, since we're
I also hear
When we played the our least favorite personalities game, I had put Scott Van Pelt on my list.
You like Scott Van Pelt now?
So since then, I've seen a lot more Scott Van Pelt, and I'm down. I like him. Like
Hold on. You put SVP on your list of least liked personalities?
Yeah, because he was too shiny bald. That was my reasoning. I was like, I just can't.
I mean, y'all know I've worked third shift for a while, and I used to watch late night ESPN all the time. And I watched SVP all day, and I never got sick of it.
Wow.
Because I usually stream, so it cuts off after the game. But now that I have the Hulu with live TV and live sports, I can watch.
No free advertisements.
Yeah. Now that I have Hulu,
Shout out Hulu. Send your money to the BFF.
I would like some Hulu money.
I don't know if we want the Hulu money because it seems like when you get Hulu money, you start to shit the bed.
See, speaking of the Hulus,
that's okay though, because you got Hulu money at that point.
The Baker Mayfield deep fake Saquon Barkley commercial, how Baker Mayfield's like, yeah, take it from me, not Baker Mayfield's body on Baker Mayfield's head. I wish it was the other way around. So it was just some guy's face, but just have some like not morbidly obese person, but like have a little bit extra than Baker Mayfield. Just be like, take it from me, not Baker Mayfield's face on definitely Baker Mayfield's body. That would be really gross and disgusting.
So you don't have to pay Baker Mayfield at all?
At all. Just for the voiceover.
The parody law probably enacts, so you don't.
Yeah.
You really don't even need two people at that point. You could just have one person.
Yeah, you could just have one like fatter guy.
We should do a commercial.
There's no need.
We should do one with Bull and just have it cut off.
Honestly, you could probably take that commercial and then cut the audio and just flip flop it, so you don't even need to pay for anything.
I feel like this audio is just waiting for TikToks. I'm just saying, the talks are going to be flowing.
True.
You want to be our TikTok guy?
I mean, I could be. I've never made a TikTok in my life, but I am familiar with the talk. The talk is a good place. You just got to get on the right section of TikTok.
Yeah, manage our TikTok account.
You're definitely our TikTok guy now. I have one for the boobs and stuff. But
boobs and stuff.
Moving on to the definite topic, Tyreek Hill had a monster game this week.
Insane game.
Yeah, only person to have in the common era of fantasy football, only person to ever have more fantasy points than him was Jamal Charles, I believe.
Oh, I remember that game.
Why do you remember it?
Because it was in the championship, and I lost to you by like 4 points. And my defense had negative points, and you had Jamal Charles.
Probably had the Bears defense too.
I had the Eagles defense, which made it hurt even more because I'm an Eagles fan.
We could probably go back into the league archives and look at that game now.
It hurt. That was when my team was nasty. I think that might have been one of the forgotten about auction draft years.
That was one of my last years of glory because the year after I sent Little Joe the Enforcers and Keenan Allen ruptured his spleen and Jamal Charles tore his ACL.
That does happen. Speaking of Tyreek Hill though, his game reminded me a lot of like last year's game where George Kittle had a monster first half, and I was like, no way he doesn't break the record in the second half, and then he just didn't manage to break it.
That just shows that like NFL defenses, if they really want to take you away, they can. If they like really devote the resources, but so Tyreek had 203 yards in the first quarter. He did the Shannon Sharp like call the cell phone like, "Oh, we got help on the way. They're coming." And then after that, they put the bracket coverage on him.
Yeah.
He still ended up with 269 yards and 3 tutters.
Yeah, still an insane game, but yeah, that's kind of what it reminds me of because like last year, I think it was in the first half. Like I think in the second half, George Kittle only needed like 15 or 20 yards to beat the tight end receiving record.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember who they were playing, but they were like, yeah, that's not happening. And I don't think he had another catch in the second half.
Oh, man. That's 14th all-time in a single game yardage for a wide receiver.
And only
just behind Charlie Hennigan.
And it's only a little less than like, what is that, 70-ish yards from number one. So that's not.
Flipper.
That's for a player like Tyreek Hill. That's could be one play.
Yeah.
So could you just imagine being Carlton Davis in like that week's meeting, and Bruce Arians looks at you and he's like, "Hey, Carlton, you've been doing pretty good this year. You got the cheetah, right? Like just single all game. Like you can handle that.
You got that?
You think Carlton Davis was just like, yeah, coach, I got cheetah 1-on-1 all game.
We'll try it out for just the first quarter. We won't give you any help no matter what. We'll just see.
I got a quick question. This is more focused towards Austin and Jake, but do you guys remember when we had that speaker for football, I believe, that was like, yeah, you may remember me. I was on the Vikings defense, or I was on the Chargers defense when Adrian Peterson broke the NFL rushing record.
Oh, yeah. I remember that guy very well.
Was that the guy who went to Jamaica and got AIDS or something?
It might have. I don't know. There was a lot of weird
when
shit.
He goes back on the plane and has like a secret note left by the person and it said, "Welcome to the world of AIDS," and it was like really dramatic and definitely seemed fake.
That might have been like a don't do drugs speaker or something.
Yeah,
this guy.
They all blend together.
No one should do drugs. If you
this
go to
guy,
drugs,
I looked up the
you'll go to hell
highlights of
before
that
you die.
AP game, and he's like, I remember because he flexed on us. He's like, I had 14 tackles against Adrian Peterson in that game, and then
There's no way that's true.
And he was like busting loose, and the guy would like, there'd be like 3 guys tackling him, and he would like jump on the pile after.
Now, so I wasn't there for that one, obviously, but do you guys think you got more from that speaker or the linebacker from Ohio State who came and told us about how none of his friends thought he was cool? And they
are you talking about the dude that was definitely just a cunt? Like that dude was definitely not cool.
Yeah, the dude who showed us the same highlight play from 5 different angles.
And then
I did take a selfie with him, but I never did anything with it. I think I deleted it because I was like, this dude's definitely just an asshole.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Jake?
No, his friend was on the piano. He's like, "Hey, shout out a song," and like no one listened to anything. He's like, "Oh, was that Don't Stop Believing by Journey?"
I was in the crowd screaming Freebird. I screamed Freebird, and
he's like,
didn't even.
Twaroski, I figured out the guy's name.
Don't stop believing. Oh, what's up?
His name was Matt Wilhelm. He had 14 tackles. I was right. 11 solo, 3 assists, 1 TFL.
Whoa.
Matt Wilhelm. We spoke to him.
But Austin, can you figure out who the guy who came with singer-songwriter Ryan Holiday was?
I feel like that might not be as good of a thing to put on the podcast because I mean I straight up called him a cunt. So
the guy really
maybe don't put his name there. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad about themselves, but if you're out there, you know who you are.
He seems like a real Heath Evans type, that guy.
Yeah, he does. This is a little off topic, but do you remember in graduation walking practice when we would just play the Predator noise on our phone to make the people in front of us feel weird?
I do remember that vividly. Actually, that's actually, I think the only thing I remember about graduation was the Predator toys.
Yeah.
I want to throw in one quick aside before we get back on the footballs. So on Joel Penton, the motivational speaker from Ohio State, on his website.
Oh, well, we found his name. Well, we found his name.
So his tagline, it says, Joel Penton, 5 championship rings, 1 life-changing message.
So he was a 5th-year senior? Or did he win?
It was probably like championship rings in like high school and stuff.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
2 little critters, 1 in junior high.
If I could go back and suplex one person, probably wouldn't be him, but he'd be on the list.
His life-changing message is just be a nerd.
It was be a nerd and an asshole. Choose one of them.
Oh, fuck.
Doing too much.
So on his website, like the tagline, it says Joel Penton, motivational and school assembly speaker. So like
he was a school assembly speaker for sure.
I know, but that's his big draw. Is he goes to assemblies at high schools,
Whatever makes you money.
like the yo-yo
Yeah,
guy.
dude.
I mean, we saw it for. I'd rather see the yo-yo guy.
Yo, dude,
100%.
sick. That dude was awesome.
I remember being a little hype. I'm like, yeah, this football dude's coming. That's dope. And afterwards, I was like, fuck. Just go home and drink, I guess.
They
All
all
right,
look
let's
like they're
get,
from Ohio State.
I feel like I'm sidetracking the conversation quite frequently.
Oh no, we were
That's
off.
okay.
We were
That's
off
what the
the
fans
rails.
like.
It's okay. We're eating those member berries.
So the next one on the definite topics. In the Lions-Houston game, twin brothers AJ Moore and CJ Moore played against each other for the first time. Both of them are safeties. AJ's on Houston and CJ's on Detroit.
It's a
And
great story.
I watched them mic'd up. They were just going at it on kickoffs, just bullshitting with each other. It was pretty funny.
That is a great story. I didn't even know that until I was
Oh.
looking at the doc earlier.
While we're talking about brotherly love, Joel Penton is a graduate of the Ohio University and played 5 years of football for the Buckeyes. He was a member of 3 Big Ten championship teams, a member of the national championship team. Oh, okay. And a 4-time academic all Big Ten selection.
Nerd.
Why he's doing the
Whoa.
Nerd.
Dude,
Not even an actual Big Ten player. Year.
That's all I
He
want.
wasn't an All-American Big Ten player. He was an all.
read all of the Harry Potter books.
So he learned all that shit, and how's he applying it? Just doing fucking
Yeah,
school
I'm just saying.
assemblies?
I'm just saying. The
He
flex,
acts like he's a rocket scientist. or something.
the flex on academic All-Americans is when they're an academic All-American and an All-American in their sport.
Yeah.
That's the flex.
When some guy like lights someone up and they're like, oh, and this guy has a really good GPA.
Yeah, that's dope.
And I know the capital of Maine. What's up, bitch?
Senior year, Joel received the
All
prestigious
right, let's get this fucking show.
wait. The prestigious Werwuffle Trophy, also known as the
made up.
Humanitarian Heisman.
That's made up.
Oh,
Humanitarian Heisman.
there
I
you
basically won the Heisman. He probably uses that at the bar a lot.
go. For
Dude.
real.
I know.
I basically won the
I was
Heisman.
a Heisman winner. I did win
Last-
a Heisman.
Last bit on him. This is the last thing in his bio, last sentence. It's a nice little humble brag. After graduating from OSU, Joel turned down an opportunity to play in the NFL to begin a career in full-time speaking. Why? Because you were going to be like a practice squad
I'm
dude?
sure that's what happened. I'm sure it went exactly like that. I'm sure you want like people were like, "We're paying you millions," and he was like, "No,
No,
I got it. I got to reach these keys."
I believe when we went on.
see,
I believe when we went on Aaron Mabin's website, he said something similar to that.
Oh,
Like
man.
that he just retired at the top of his game or something.
That was Aaron Mabin was.
Hot garbage.
I thought he was going to be decent, and another unfortunate pick for the Buffalo Bills.
as decent as Joel Penton.
I mean, I'd rather have Aaron Mabin than Joel Penton.
I think that's true.
See, now it said turned down a career in the NFL. It was probably like marketing or like some type of like
Ticket
there was
sales.
social
I mean,
media.
if we're still talking about Joel Penton, I'm going to go take a piss.
You could take a peeps break if you wanted.
Oh yeah, peeps break.
Austin, you want to talk about Anthony Lynn mishaps?
Good
Yeah.
peeps break.
So I just noticed in the Bills game that the Chargers are a fucking really sick team. Like Justin Herbert is filthy.
Yeah.
The wide receiver core is sick. Austin Eckler's good. Their defense is really good. Joey Bosa is a fucking animal. But like the announcer said that they lost like almost all their games are one score losses. And there was a bunch of times where like it'd be kind of like it'd be a situation where it's like a 4th and 1 and they're in field goal range and the time's going and Anthony Lynn's rushing out the field goal team and then he's like, oh, never mind, bringing him back. And like he just kept doing that and fucking up and like There was times, and he had to kept wasting timeouts by doing that because the play clock's running down. I was like, what is he doing? And then at the end of the game, they throw like a Hail Mary. It lands short. They do a hurry up offense. It's like 1st and goal. And it's just like the worst play calls, like over and over and over again. It gets to 4th and goal. He does the same thing. He's rushing out the field goal kicker. Then he brings him back in. They hurry up and try to do like something real quick. Ed Oliver jumps off, gives him another 4 downs, and it's just the worst play sequence I've ever seen. Like, just horrible goal line fade. And then it ends with Justin Herbert trying to do a quarterback sneak, but the whole offensive line goes into like pass blocking, and he just runs into a pass blocking center and gets crushed. And I was like, Anthony Lynn, I feel like, is not really drilling that team in like situational football. And I don't think he has like like some teams like the Ravens, I think, have like an actual mathematician who does the analytics. Like, you go for it on 4th down here.
He probably just has like a vague chart.
I think he just like is working it through in his head real time and just.
I doubt he's working it through in his head, but like I feel
I've
like
seen him rush the guys out there and then bring.
I know. I'm just saying. Like, I feel like every team has a chart. I'd be willing to bet that every team has a chart that's like, this is when you do, this is when you don't. He was probably just like, they're saying I should do it, but I don't feel like I should. Maybe I should. I think maybe that's the situation where he's just a little more indecisive rather than not having the knowledge. I don't know.
So, talking about play calling, did you guys see Adam Gase adamantly deny taking over play calling?
Yeah, he said it's a collaborative effort now. It's a collaborative effort.
Austin, did you see it?
Yeah, no, I saw it.
In the press conference?
Yeah.
When he's like, no, what do you mean? I didn't call any plays. I didn't do anything. And then they're just like, well, we were watching the OC the whole time. Like, and he didn't do anything. And he's like, no, it's planned. We talk about it. They're like, no, he didn't. What do you mean?
Now, do you think he's giving goose or he just doesn't care? What do you think he's doing? Because he has kind of like a air of giving goose to him.
I think
he does seem like a goose giver.
In that interview or just with the season?
I think definitely in that interview, but also I think at some points after they realize that this team is just complete dog shit. Like, I think just having Frank Gore being your starting running back is giving goose.
Hall of Famer, Frank Gore. But listen,
it is a first ballot Hall of Famer as your running back.
I think he might be giving goose, but I just think that's because at this point Adam Gase probably knows he has nothing to lose and he's not going to be there after the season. So he can do whatever he wants.
I don't I feel like Adam Gase knew he had nothing to lose in Miami. And then the Jets were like, do you want to come run it back here? And he was like, fuck, I mean, I guess.
First thing he does is gives that coked up press conference, and everyone's like, what the first time that you see him as a head coach, you're like, what the fuck is he doing?
And then they secure a quality running back. He's like, no, I never wanted him. It's like, why? It's like, God, he could have been like the best player on your team.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to look at is all the players that were in Miami when Adam Gase was there that just did nothing. And then as soon as Adam Gase left, just started popping off.
Yeah.
It's a long list.
One of them.
Kenyon Drake, Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker did okay when Adam Gase was there, but after he left, he started playing way better. There's a long list of players.
So yeah, Adam Gase sucks. We know that. But are you guys ready for the whoopsie?
The whoopsie? I'm born ready for the whoopsie.
So we already kind of talked about it, but the whoopsie of the week this week is pretty obvious. It's the Broncos not playing with a quarterback.
It's got to be. That was a football game. I did watch that game.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the local news after this game was awful. Fantastic. So, I mean, everybody knew what happened. So this dude gets put in practice squad wide receiver put in the game because he played some quarterback in college because he was really good quarterback in high school. Completes 1 of 9 passes and has 2 interceptions.
And he should have had 4 interceptions. But
yeah, there should have been more interceptions.
So the local news after, like, because there are people like outside at like a patio restaurant or whatever, and you could tell the news person showed up and just asking people like, "Hey, what'd you think of the game? You're watching the game here. Like, what'd you think?" And then one lady's like, it's a shame, but Broncos fan, gotta be, hope they do better. Then this dude comes on, slicked back hair. He's like, "Yeah, quarterback, that was pretty horrible. Honestly, you should have thrown me in there. I'd have done better than that."
Oh,
Just like,
oh no!
Let's fucking go.
Oh
you need to find that clip, dude. You need to get that clip.
Find it.
Dude,
I'll try to do some.
Because
oh
I don't have to
god,
find it right now, but probably
that's
on
so
the
bad.
station's website is. But fuck, what was I gonna say? I have no idea what I was gonna say.
if anything, this tweet right below the stat line kind of it says what, because there's a lot of people that say that kind of shit, but like that guy was a state championship quarterback in high school, played some QB in college, and went 1 for 9 with 2 picks. Like, being a quarterback in the NFL is probably the hardest fucking decision making. You get freak athletes picking you off. Like,
there is big time college quarterbacks that don't make it in the NFL just because they're like skill set. Like, there was like Braxton Miller played wide receiver. Terrell Pryor played wide receiver, went back to quarterback for a little bit, but he was like a big time, especially high school and college. He was absolutely popping off.
Jamarcus Russell, Matt Leinart.
Terrell Pryor is the one that knocked our high school out of the playoffs in the
2007, 2005.
I think 2007.
I remember what I was going to say, and I actually just got a direct line from one of my contacts on the street. So I have another.
You got street hookups.
I have another word from the street, or word on the street. And word on the street is that the Broncos QB room, Blake Bortles might have been the first one to take his mask off.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I think he's putting a Chosky in or something, and he's like, "Hey guys, you don't need these masks. You all want some too?" And then they all just started
packing a little dipper too.
99% survival rate. Fucking throws it in.
He's like, "Here, you gotta try
this."
He's like, "This is my last one, so you can just pass it around."
Just swap it. This isn't about this story at all. It's more about the segment, but I think word from the street is even funnier.
Word from the street.
Word on the street. Word from the street. Word from the streets.
We saw it on the street. We took it off. We brought it to you guys on the podcast.
Yeah.
Word from Hunter's rumor mill, which is on the street. That just rolls right off
their tongue.
I feel like so much has been said about that Kendall Hinton situation, though. Yeah. I don't think I can really add anything to it.
No, that's why it's the Whoopsie. We can move on. The slide whistle graphic has already played, hopefully.
I will say, looking back on this year, that will probably be like, people will be like, what the fuck was, like, it doesn't seem like that crazy of a thing right now.
No, it is definitely a really crazy thing. Like, the fact that a team had to play a game without a quarterback is insane.
I feel like
it's not that it's not a big thing. It's more or less just I feel like so many people have said so much about it that I don't really think that I can add anything of value to it.
Now, I will say a fun comparison. I think it was the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken, where they were like, oh, they need a long snapper. So they got this guy who fucking moves carpet and then threw him in at long snapper. And it was like, look how great that was. And then you have this dude like, yeah, he got tossed at a quarterback who just did fucking dog shit.
Little different like skill sets that you need.
But still, being that like carpet dude, you could be like, I know not everybody can just step into the NFL and do good, but some people can do it.
I'll tell you what, being a long
Ripping donuts in the
snapper,
fucking locker room.
it's a tough job. Long snapping sucks ass.
I fucked up long snapping so many times and just been like, fuck, goddamn.
There's zero chance you did worse at long snapping than me. I was the worst long snapper on our team.
It's tough.
And they just kept me in long snapping practice. So I would do long snapping practice, and then the games would come, and they'd be like, well, you're doing the other special teams that everybody else is practicing. I'm like, okay. I never really practiced it, but I guess.
One especially, it's like punting and then extra point is like.
I feel like every time I long snapped in a game, field goals, I feel like I was kind of okay at, but I'd still mess them up decently often. Punts, I remember vividly a lot of them I'd be grounded them. I remember a couple where I launched them over the punter. It wasn't a good look.
Well, I think it's safe to say that out of all of us, Dylan Squires was the best special teamer.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that's probably true. He could punt.
He did win us the Prison Bowl.
I don't want to give out too many Dylan Squires shout-outs on this show, so let's move on to the next week's games. Any of these jumping out at you guys?
I was looking through these earlier. There are a few that jump right out at me.
What's jumping out at you?
And by jumping out at me, I mean games that I think they might not be, but they definitely could be close games. I think I'm interested to see the Browns-Titans game because both teams, I think, have shown really good things and really bad things, and I'm interested to see how they play in that game specifically.
Is Myles Garrett there?
What were the other games? The Rams-Cardinals game. That's another one. The Rams have played some good games. The Cardinals have played some really good games, but they've also both played bad games. I'm interested to see how that one goes.
And it's a
Rams
division.
Cardinals is just good.
That's a super big game for the division too, playoff picture wise. Patriots Chargers could be a game to look at.
Interesting.
I think those are both teams that have showed really good things that don't have a lot of wins to show for it. So I think that could be a good game. Bills Niners. I think the Bills have definitely done a lot more this season, but I think it still could be a competitive game.
Fun fact about that game, the Santa Clara area banned contact sports.
Yeah.
So the Niners can't play at home. They got to play in Arizona.
Yeah, that's why in the Spicy 16, that's why I put the homeless 49ers.
Oh yeah. It's going to be weird.
Those I think those are the ones that jump out at me the most for sure.
I mean, I don't really have anything to add about these that you didn't.
For me, the only thing I'd add is the Washington Steelers game because
that could be something.
The Skins D-line, man, you got Montez Sweat. I think he just had a pick six in that last game. He's looking
Dude, that
good.
was fucking amazing.
He's a beast. And then you got Chase Young just absolutely balling. Deron Payne, Bama Haas.
John
Roll
Allen,
Tide.
Bama Haas.
Ruben. I don't know if he's playing or not.
Yep. And I think the Steelers line, they're still good run blockers and big hosses, but they're kind of banged up. I know they lost their right tackle early in the season. So I think there might be some sacks on Big Ben there by these young fellas.
Hot take this game. I would never, ever, ever wish an injury on somebody. But I think Big Ben goes down for this game.
Who do you think gets him?
I think
Deron Payne
Collins gets him.
Landon Collins.
Yeah.
Solo? Or is he
former New York football giant?
Back or whatever,
Yes, former New York football giant. Jake,
also a Bama guy.
I think
it's also a Bama guy.
It's a solo strip sack. Comes in, you're focused on Montez Sweat taking it back to the crib, and then the announcers, as soon as he gets into the end zone, they're like, "Oh no!" And Big Ben is still on the ground.
And Big Ben's like, "Oh," and he's limping off.
Yeah. I hope it's a cramp.
I could see him throwing it, and then Landon Collins gets him here.
Ooh, tears the tour beforehand.
It could also be even after he's throwing. Throwback to last year, Drew Brees injury. Catches the thumb.
Yeah.
Catches the thumb on a helmet.
There's
Caroline
some
That's
Travis.
a painful one.
like blood magic in the air right now.
Hope it doesn't happen. We don't practice blood magic on this show, but it's just
I
On the
like
show, we totally do.
if there's one player that I don't want to see get injured, it's Big Ben, because I dealt with the Steelers fans for a long time, and it wasn't until last year that they really pushed me over the edge. Because when they were setting up like ducks and stuff in the stand, it's like, it's okay. It's like, we know your quarterback's dog shit. You can say he's dog shit. There's no reason to be this adamant that he's going to be nasty. Like,
They were
just
saying
accept
that he was
it.
better. They were saying that Duck was better than Josh Allen before.
Yeah, it was like,
Trey
come
White
on.
picked him 3 times.
That was the straw that broke my back.
Yeah. Keep
Well,
old Big Ben healthy. Get him some deer antler spray.
we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
there you
But Austin or Jake, any of these pop out at you?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add that wasn't already said. I'm excited for these games.
Yeah, I'm
There are
going
definitely some
Bengals
good games
Dolphins.
this week. Bengals Dolphins, yeah, I would like to see how the Dolphins do. I think the Dolphins have had a really good season as well. So
I'm a big
When-
Mike
when-
Gesicki
so I
fan.
missed a bunch of games.
Obviously, no Thursday game. But Jake, are you excited for all kinds of games?
Yeah, I am. Today's fun game, I should say this week's, and honestly, I could say this past 30 days.
Also, it's Jake's fun game.
Yeah. Of course, it's my fun game. Our top 3 players that were almost superstar caliber, but just barely weren't good enough. Now, this is similar to our game of good players ruined by bad teams, but this is someone who just wasn't there, just kissing the ceiling of good player and superstar.
I would like to preface some of my answers by, if it is something that was like they were on bad teams, I wasn't here for that one.
That's
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, we'll give you the pass.
but I think I have some decent answers here.
On BFF.
All right. Well, do I kick it off here?
Yeah.
Run it.
Coming in at number 3 on my list of top 3 players that were almost superstar caliber, but just barely not good enough. I'm going to go with Smokin' Jay Cutler. I always thought Jay Cutler was kind of just on the cusp of superstardom back in his day, but it just seemed like he wasn't really trying, and he would throw some picks here and there. But he'd always get his team, and like the Bears were pretty good,
Yeah.
good competitive team. They're always in the NFC playoff mix.
One of my favorite South Park jokes. I think Stan is talking to somebody, and Jay Cutler is brought up in the conversation when he was a Bronco at the time. And Stan just says, "Yeah, he's super bad, but my dad says he'll be good someday."
Yeah. I mean, that's the story of Jay Cutler. But he signed those $100 million deals for a reason, honey.
Yeah, he's living fine now. Kicked his wife to the curb. He's fine.
When it comes to quarterbacks, I almost put Kyle Orton on this list just because, man, he was a real good drinker. He was really good at drinking.
He was an animal.
So my number 3, I went with currently playing Sammy Watkins.
How do you know if he's never going to make it?
Well,
Over
he
the
hasn't.
hill?
Well, it's
Yeah.
not necessarily who never made it. It's who hasn't made it, I
Yeah.
guess.
He does think he's a ghost.
Yeah.
I just think, even like coming in the league, everyone's like, oh, yeah, this dude's going to be good. Plays good, and everyone's like, yeah, he's pretty good. Like fantasy, it's like he's not going to be your first pick, but like, yeah, pick him up. He's pretty good. But it hasn't been like, oh, fuck, we got to put our best dude on Sammy Watkins. But it's like, yeah, if you need him, he can, like, he's good.
Yeah.
I would put him in the same tier with somebody else, but I don't want to say names in case anybody has them.
Sammy was on my
on there.
honorable mention list.
You're a
I don't
good
wanna-
guest, Twaroski.
What was that?
I said, you're a good guest.
Thank you. I don't want to say any names before someone puts them on their list, and then I feel like an asshole.
Yeah, Hunter's done that before.
I'm pretty sure I was on an episode where he did it. I think that was the episode I was on. He did it.
Absolutely.
I'm getting flashbacks.
But Hunter, speaking of you giving your answers.
Speaking of me.
Yeah, you're up, motherfucker.
Jesus. All right. So my first one is a bit iffy. I don't know if this dude, it's all based on potential because this guy didn't play a lot. But for my number 3, I'm going to go with Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver Justin Blackman, because I feel like if that dude didn't have like alcohol problems and just stayed and played football as long as he could have, he would be like really, really super duper good.
Damn. That's actually a pretty good choice. I like that one.
Thanks.
I didn't even think about that one. It reminds me of another person who I think someone probably has on their list, so I'll say nothing.
Well, you're up with your number 3 choice.
I'm not going to – this isn't one I have. I did a lot of –
Jesus.
Ready to go on that one for sure.
For those of you listening, Hunter just plopped in a ginormous picture of Justin right in the middle of our Google Doc.
I think for my number 3, I'm going to go with the neck. Paul Poslezny had a very good career as a linebacker. In my opinion, one of the better middle linebackers of his era, but never really got the recognition because he was on worse teams, but also like, I don't know how to explain it. Like the dude was nasty, but no one ever paid attention to him.
It's because he was in Buffalo.
He
did intercept Tom Brady twice with a broken arm.
Yeah, he had a club on his hand and had 2 picks against Tom Brady. Like, you cannot say enough about this man. He had, like, I feel like almost every year he had over 100 tackles. Like, the dude was an absolute animal, and no one remembers him just because he was never at the level of some of the other middle linebackers of his class.
And one of the greatest necks of all time.
Oh, yeah, definitely one of the greatest necks.
Absolutely one of the greatest necks.
And is it circled back around to me?
I believe it has.
So coming in at the number 2 spot on my list, I'm going to go ahead and go with Matty Ice Ryan, who
I almost put in.
I've been watching Matt Ryan play since he came into the league. He's always been kind of outside of the top 5 quarterbacks always mentioned. No one's really like, oh, Matt Ryan, like elite, sick. Like Matt Ryan, he never really sauced anyone up. He lost the Super Bowl when he had that huge lead.
Man.
It's like he's never really had that moment in his career that you're like, oh, yeah, that guy was really good.
Yeah, like he had the MVP season, but he never had like the postseason push to really put him over the edge.
Yeah. Like when I think of Big Ben, I think of him like threading it into Santonio Holmes, triple coverage, winning a Super Bowl. Like Matt Ryan, there's nothing really sticking out to me.
I think
that's a good pick. I like that, Austin.
A lot of a player truly being great is not necessarily how many rings they have, not necessarily how many records they set, but I think it's about the moments. And I think with Matt Ryan, he might have more bad moments than good moments where you're really like, oh, damn.
Also, what I was thinking about on this list was just like how memorable a player is. Because, like, I said the neck, but you compare him to someone who's like Brian Urlacher. Everybody knows the name Brian Urlacher. Unless someone watches football intensely, they probably don't know who Paul Poslezny is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I went with it. It's like people that are forgotten through time.
That's a funny pick.
So for mine,
is that him seeing the scoreboard of the Super Bowl or something?
That's a good pick.
I'm not sure what the context is.
I
That's a
like
look.
the pick the most just because of how intense the neck beard is. Like I can't even grow a lot of hair on my neck. He's got it down.
Well, Twaroski, have
we're
you
talking
seen
about
the
the
Matt
picture.
Ryan?
Oh, the Matt Ryan pick?
Yeah.
Scroll down.
Oh my! I thought we were talking about the Jay Cutler pick.
No.
Oh,
There is a lot of hair on the neck.
there's
I
a
think-
lot of picks going on here. I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
I think Jay Cutler's neck beard is what makes him look like he's just not really trying that hard. Like he doesn't really take the time to shave or do anything.
That Matt Ryan pick is golden though.
So
My turn.
Hey.
Yeah, so my number 2, and this is may not be the first name that comes to mind of this, but the reasoning, I feel like I have a good reason for it. But I think my number 2 is Gardner Minshew. And this is because I feel like he has, like, there have been moments where it's like, oh, there's some magic, there's something, there's potential here, or like he has the energy of a superstar. But for me, like this analogy, if Matt Ryan, so like in regards to like fireworks, Matt Ryan would be one where like the fuse starts and it hits the fire and it's kind of like, and it's very lackluster. I feel like Gardner Minshew is like the big woodies. Like you can see the mortars. You're like, oh fuck, this is gonna be sick. But like it goes, psst, psst, and then it burns out before the fuse is even lit. It's like, it's right. Just how you have to get it going. Like you can do it, but just like, oh, what the fuck?
I think Gardner Minshew is a Kmart Tim Tebow with a mustache.
Whoa.
Wow, Hunter's hurt by this season.
Man,
No respect. for
Kmart Tim Tebow.
Minshew
with the
With a
Main?
mustache. He
That's
fucked
right.
so much more than Tim Tebow.
Did I guarantee you fucked me?
I
Tim
fuck
Tebow.
more than him.
Not a chance that's not true.
All right. So
More than Tim Tebow. Yeah.
okay. So I don't want to add a whole ton of Jags to this list, but I do have one more Jaguar, and it's not Denard Robinson. I know y'all thought it was going to be Denard Robinson,
I did think so.
but my number 2 pick is somebody who I would say was probably elite when they were playing, but their career was ended soon because of injury.
I have an idea of who you might say, but I'm not sure.
Okay, their career was ended due to injury, and I feel like if he kept playing, he would currently be in the Hall of Fame.
Is it Sterling Sharp?
I think I know who you're gonna say.
Who am I going to say, Twaroski?
Because I almost put him on my list. I'm gonna guess you're gonna say Bo Jackson.
Well, this is a Jaguar, remember?
Oh, a Jaguar? Forgot about the Jaguar part.
yeah.
It's probably not Bo Jackson.
No, it's not Bo Jackson. So this is somebody that I've met personally, somebody who has signed a napkin for me, super nice guy. And this was before I ever even knew that he was the Jaguars' first ever draft pick. My choice is Tony Baselli.
Baselli.
Because Tony Baselli, like I said, he was elite when he was playing. He's on a bunch of like all 90s, all 2000s teams. But because his career was ended short, like this dude has been on the Hall of Fame vote list for like the past 10 years, and he cannot make it in. Like they won't do it for some reason. So because of that, because he cannot seem to get over that Hall of Fame hump, and because there's not a Jag in the Hall of Fame yet, and I think he is deserving of it and should be the first one in there, my number 2 pick is Tony Baselli.
I did not know there's not a Jag in the Hall of Fame. Is MJD not making the Hall?
I think Fred Taylor would probably make the Hall of Fame before MJD would.
I
about
loved
Timmy
MJD.
Me too. That's why I'm a Jags fan, pretty much.
MJD was so nasty. This is tough for me because I don't know who I want to put at my number 2 and who I want to put at my number 1. I think I'm gonna put this person at number 2 and then hope. I don't think anybody else put my other person at number 1. So by number 2, I'm going to put Steven Jackson.
I used to draft Steven Jackson a lot in fantasy.
Running back for the St. Louis Rams. The all-time rushing leader for that franchise, as surprising as that might seem. More than Marshall Faulk, more than anybody. He had an incredibly good career, but I don't know. I feel like he was just more of like a grinder, so no one really recognizes him as like for what he did. Like I think he had like between 6 and 8 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons on a bad team where teams were stacking the box against him. But he doesn't get a lot of respect. I don't know.
Yeah, Steven Jackson was actually, I had like a list of like 10 guys just off the top of my head. He's one of the first guys I put down.
Yeah, the dude had the sauce.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
The thing that stands out to me about Steven Jackson is how big his face is.
He does have a big head.
I liked how he ran too. I like running backs like Steven Jackson.
I believe
It's probably why I like running backs like Derrick Henry. People that are willing to just run it straight down your throat.
Oh, yeah.
And say, I'm a bigger man than you. I'm running through you.
He was on my old segment, Where Are They Now?
Steven Jackson was?
Where is he now?
Or was he not? No, maybe I had him on the list to do him, and I just...
Yeah, we're going to have to bring that back in the offseason.
But... is it all the way back around to me now?
Yeah, I don't have any stats pulled up or anything, so I don't have much to say about him, but that's who I picked.
Coming in at number 1 on my list, also another quarterback, also just on the cusp of superstardom, but never quite there. And it's not who you guys think, I think. It is he played in the AFC North.
Tim Couch?
No. Carson Palmer.
I see that. I see that.
Carson Palmer,
I see that.
He was always, he was always playing pretty good. He had Terrell Owens and Chad Johnson there, and he just had some real stud seasons, but you knew he would never win a Super Bowl or go anywhere deep in the playoffs because you knew he just didn't have the sauce to get it done.
Blake Bortles used to train with his brother Jordan Palmer in the offseason.
I definitely like that pick, Austin. That's a good pick.
I think Jordan Palmer's training Josh Allen every now and then.
Uh-oh, that's not
Play golf with their grandpa Arnold Palmer and their cousin Justin Palmer.
Wow. Fun
Justin
fact.
Palmer has a masturbation station.
What the fuck is this?
What?
What the fuck?
What do you mean?
This picture.
That's Carson Palmer. He lost a bet.
Oh, okay. I thought this was like the combine or something. I was like, oh, sweet.
Quit being ridiculous, Jake.
Oh, I don't think he lost a bet. I mean, I know that's what it says, but that's the Cardinals do that all the time.
They're into that weird shit.
No, the Cardinals have a quarterback competition every week where every one of the quarterbacks has to throw a football into a bucket, and whoever does worse has to wear a funny costume.
Okay.
Well, interesting.
I know that because it was either a Hard Knocks or I think it was an Amazon All or Nothing where they follow him for the whole season.
I had never heard of that, but I'm glad that I have heard of it because I do like the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are sick.
I like their all-black alternative uniforms.
Oh, their all-black uniforms might be the best black uniforms in the league.
I like their roll-in field. That's real grass in the desert.
Oh, yeah. I think all-black uniforms, off the top of my head, probably between like the Cardinals and the Ravens.
49ers as well.
49ers, pretty nice.
I like the Steelers, too.
Oh, is it my turn?
Well, no. There's 2 more before you. You're actually last. But,
okay. You said my name. I got a little spit.
Are you saying you didn't know about the quarterback competition or you didn't know about the Amazon show?
I didn't know about the quarterback competition.
Because I was going to say the Amazon show is good. And I think the last one they did was the Eagles.
Go Birds.
Yeah.
Except maybe not this year. I hope they don't make the playoffs.
All right, Jake.
So my number one is somebody I would consider to be one of the top good players.
Tom Brady.
Not superstars. But
Jeremy Maclin?
what makes them not a superstar also is that they have just been passed around so much. But I think
Like the Village Bicycle.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is close to being a superstar.
I agree 100%. And I also agree with what Hunter said.
About the Village Bicycle?
No, when you said, I think you were like, you cut out a little bit, but I thought I heard you say Jeremy Maclin.
Oh, yeah.
Also would have been a good pick. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, I agree. Ryan Fitzpatrick been killing it for
Jeremy Maclin.
damn near 20 years. I don't know how long's it been.
He's been
14,
good enough to
15.
Yeah,
always have a job.
Yeah, he's good.
And
Jeremy Maclin or Dwayne Bowe.
he's definitely killed it.
He's not good enough for a team to be like, yeah, we're trying to secure this guy and not let him go anywhere.
And I absolutely love Ryan Fitzpatrick because I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback play with more heart than Ryan Fitzpatrick. The dude will lay his body on the line. He does not care. It'll be a run play. He'll run out in front and try to take on a middle linebacker. He does not care.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
And that's what I like about him a lot.
2 weeks ago, Twaroski, we made our own quarterback Frankenstein compilation graphics. Who you would pick
Perfect quarterback.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I think I saw it on Twitter.
If you were making the perfect journeyman quarterback, it would probably just be Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I mean, he's played for 8 or 9 different NFL teams.
He's definitely a Hall of
Josh
Fame
McCown.
journeyman. I don't think anyone can compete when it comes to journeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My turn?
I think it might be.
Okay. So my number one is somebody who was very good when they played, was maybe even elite when they played, maybe even led the league in what they did the first year they started. But this person had a lot of issues throughout the career, had some personal stuff going on, maybe didn't really love the game. And also, I believe he owes the Dolphins a lot of money still.
Oh, no.
My number one pick, because I think if he didn't have those marijuana problems.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I think he would have been, even better than he was. My number one, sorry, Twaroski, if I'm doing it to you.
No, you're not doing it to me. I just enjoyed this.
Is Ricky Williams.
This was not mine. I just really like it.
Yeah,
I've never looked into him a whole lot, but I heard a lot of crazy shit about Ricky Williams. Like
when he went to Africa?
I heard at one point that when he signed with the Dolphins, one of the clauses was he wouldn't get paid until he got clean or something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he.
Oh, that picture!
I know,
right? Oh no!
Both of them, I think, are good.
Ricky Williams was the first football player's name that I knew as a kid, and the first game I saw as a child was Dolphins at Buffalo.
I will say, yeah, I agree with that 100%.
He almost won Celebrity Big Brother, but didn't. He was too chill.
Everything you said about him is exactly how I would think about him. He probably was elite, but all of his problems led to him probably not being. I don't know.
Yeah. And no, like I said, he led the league in rushing. I don't know if he did it more than 1 year, but yeah, if that dude just could put the Joni down for 16 weeks a year.
You can't, Hunter, you can't.
How are you supposed to do that? Every once in a while, you're gonna want to size some duck or something.
Yeah,
just takes all that pain away from running the rock.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that kind of crazy?
Going to get some cheesecake.
In today's NFL, if Ricky Williams came out next year, he might be the best running back of all time.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how if I honestly thought someone was going to put Josh Gordon down because Josh Gordon was quite literally the best receiver in the league.
Yeah.
And then he just couldn't play for a lot of years.
I think Josh Gordon would be good for like a missed opportunities list.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it too. That's why I didn't put him on my list because, like, when he played, he was extremely elite. It's just he didn't get to play a lot.
So, because the best ability is availability, we should do a least available list.
At
Like
least
the people who were the best but the least available.
Oh God, Percy
that'd be
Harvin.
that'd be a good
exactly.
list. That'd be a good list. I think that's definitely a good idea for a list.
Jot it down. But Twaroski, you're here to conclude us with your number one.
I have some ideas as my number one, but after picking Steven Jackson for my number two, my number one was going to be Takeo Spikes.
Wow.
For sure. That's not how you spell his name, I don't think, but it's close enough. Takeo Spikes, I honestly think was one of, if not the best linebacker in the league for many years. And that's tacos, but that's not it. One of, if not the best linebackers in the league for many years. Played for a lot of different teams. And would you believe me if I said a player as good as Takeo Spikes never once played in a playoff game?
And Takeo Spikes never played in a playoff game? Is it because he was on the Bills?
No, he played for like 5 different teams. His whole career, he never played in a playoff game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember growing up watching football, watching Takeo Spikes absolutely kill it on every team he's on.
Didn't he lead the league in tackles a couple times?
I'm sure he did. The dude was nasty, but he was never in the biggest market, never had the playoff picture.
Yeah. You got to feel bad for him. A couple Bills backers. You could have threw London Fletcher on there as well.
I do actually. I had a list of players I was going to mention. London Fletcher was one of the players I was going to mention. London Fletcher, another great linebacker that does not get enough love.
Well, let's go ahead and run through our honorable mentions. You can keep. You got any more on there, Twaroski?
I do. So, like I said, I had London Fletcher, Marquise Colston.
Ooh,
I think that was one. The dude was one of the better receivers in the league for a long, long time. Never even made a Pro Bowl.
He's like the Michael Thomas OG, just slant runner for the Saints.
Yeah, but Michael Thomas, like, real big name. Like, I feel like Marquise Colston, like, as I said, the dude never even made a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
He was like a quieter guy, so you didn't hear much about him, but killed it.
He's a stud.
And I guess last honorable mention would be John Dorenbos. Because it's as unfortunate it is, sometimes your career is cut short by medical things.
Yeah, but sometimes.
But when it comes to long snappers, there ain't much better than John Dorenbos.
And he found his true passion of magic.
Yeah,
once his NFL career.
He did go on to be the Magic Man.
So before we go, do you guys want to hear an interesting rabbit hole that I just went on?
Is it a Van Ginkel rabbit hole?
No.
No.
But the ESPN magazine cover that I posted with Ricky Williams and Mike Ditka getting married.
Yeah.
One of the stories in that article says Derek Stingley in his father's footsteps. And I'm like, that's weird. Derek Stingley Jr. is like going to be the top cornerback off the board next year. What's going on with that? So I look into it a little bit. Apparently, this article from the year Ricky Williams was drafted is about Derek Stingley Jr.'s dad trying to follow in Derek Stingley Jr.'s grandpa's footsteps.
So Derek Stingley Jr. is Derek Stingley Jr. Jr.?
No, because his father or his grandfather, Daryl
different name.
Stingley.
Daryl. Was he a stud?
That
Apparently.
is an incredible coincidence.
Hunter, post that article in here. We'll have to do a deeper dive.
Yeah, we'll save this for the 24-hour Bro Football Focus episode.
There's a 24-hour.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Twaroski, I hope you have a couple Red Bulls
Yeah.
to give you.
I mean, I can stay awake for 24 hours. I would imagine if you guys were going to actually do a 24-hour one, you'd have things going in shifts. But
No.
if you just want to run it in one shift, I'm down. I might have to take a couple of breaks to make some coffee, but I'm down.
No, piss jug, coffee jug.
Piss jug, coffee jug.
Not even a
No
peeps
peeps.
break.
One peeps break per episode. Everyone knows the rules. A couple of my honorable mentions included Eli Manning,
I thought
Joe
about that one.
Flacco,
Thought about that one too.
Matt Forte.
That's a really good one. I didn't even think of that. That's a super good pick.
I feel like I had Matt Forte and Steven Jackson on the same fantasy team.
Yeah,
at that
that's
point.
Matt Forte's a super good pick. I didn't even think about that
You
one.
probably did well that year, Hunter.
Probably really well.
Same year, probably Demarius Thomas.
That year.
Demarius Thomas was on my mind.
And then I also put Hakeem Nicks.
Game Knicks. What's his name? I thought about one of the receivers from the Giants. I don't remember what his name is.
Victor Cruz.
No, before Victor
What's
Cruz.
his name? Is it
Braxton.
Mario Manningham,
No,
a.k.a. Mario Manningham?
no. Before
Hunter, you better
I
watch
think it
your
was even
language
before
on
that.
here.
What'd you say?
You better watch your language on here.
I said Mario Manningham.
Oh, my God.
What's the
dude.
issue?
I'm just saying, you might get us flagged or something.
I'm not seeing the issue with mispronouncing Mario Manningham's name, Mario Manningham.
You're going to drop it a third time.
You can't say Mario, dog.
Yeah, dude.
I don't remember what the fucker's name was.
How tall was he? What was his 40? I might be able to remember him.
Actually, I Googled it and somehow instantly found it. I was thinking of Amani Toomer. Amani Toomer had a really good career on the Giants, and if you say the name Amani Toomer, unless you're like a really big football fan, I feel like you don't know who he is.
Yeah.
What if you say the name Amani Hooker?
Doesn't he play for the Titans? Safety? He's an up-and-comer. He's going to be a stud.
But, Jake, did you want to say one last thing?
No, the timing's off now.
You sure?
Yeah.
Just say it, Jake.
You can
We'll
fix
get
it.
it.
Post.
It was it something about
The
tumors?
post team
Yeah,
will
yeah. It was a
Oh, you were getting, no.
Aw.
Listen, we talked about Blankenship earlier. That's not.
Rodrigo.
We're cutting it here. No TT, no TikTok. All right, guys.
Successful
Twaroski,
surgery.
Thanks for coming along and joining us. This is a fun one. I think we need to strive to have more guests on, even though we are in a weird hour now
late night.
of the season. Yeah, but thanks for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you for having me on. Obviously, always a fun time on here.
Good. I'm glad.
Feel like I might fuck with the vibe a little bit, but that's just what I bring to the table.
Oh, no.
It's what the
no.
fans love to see.
Wait, I think you F with the vibe. I think you add things to the show. Yeah, you enhance the vibe. But either way,
Pretty good shirt. Enhance the vibe.
yeah, enhance the vibe. We need, is that a lemon? Where'd you get that beat from? Enhance the vibe and hot BFF injection.
It's a lot of shit.
Jake,
to get off.
every year you've promised me for my birthday I'd be getting these shirts. Haven't get.
When's the merch store opening? I'll buy it out.
Oh,
Well, I won't buy it out of stock. I'll buy one of everything.
Enhance the vibe in
now,
like
now that I say that, I'm not going to buy it out because I don't think I need like extra small shirts and shit. But I'll buy one of everything.
Twaroski, when we hit the milestone goal of 50 subscribers on YouTube, we'll launch the store.
Yeah, we're dropping
Fair enough.
$3,000 in merch for the first few viewers.
and we'll do a merch giveaway. We'll give away one shirt.
But thanks for coming along. It's been fun. Find us on YouTube where you found us. Find us on Twitter at Bro Football Focus with 1L. We don't really use it that much. We're We might more, probably not.
You use it more than I do.
What?
You use it more than I do.
Yeah, but it's for communication. But either way, Instagram is where you really find us. That's where all our fun graphics that Jake makes go. Bro Football Focus, how you think you should spell it. But until next time, the
Austin Eckler episode.
The Austin Eckler episode. Good Lord, that was close. Until next time, the Austin Eckler episode. We'll see you.
See you later.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have to pee so bad right now, so I'm gonna go
Wait,
do that.
Now we can fix it.
I'll be back if
Wait, just wait.
See you on the Austin Eckler episode.